Whitten with Whitten Gunworks, and I will show you how we install our Tikka Prefit barrels for our T1x Rimfires. These are a pretty new product for us, so we've learned a few things already about how to go about it. One of the challenging parts is the fact that the factory barrel is installed with a Loctite type thread locker product, but it's not too big a deal to deal with for us. We've figured out the plan. A couple things that we use is we use a propane torch for warming the action up, and that will allow the thread locker to break loose. We use a wrench, and you can see that I padded the jaws in the wrench, and this wrench will fit over the flats on the action, and this will allow us to apply a little bit of a twisting motion to the action to break the Loctite or thread locker loose. We also use a T15 Torx driver. One thing that we do with these is that we shorten the tip of the Torx driver a little bit with a grinder, and that makes the tip of the thing just as strong as it could possibly be. Some of the earlier T1Xs that we saw, the thread locker was applied to the set screws in the bottom of the action, and they were very tight. Some of the more recent ones, as of this filming date at least, have not had thread locker in those, so they've been a little bit easier to remove. But we're going to check out how it all happens when we do it here in our shop. Alright, so we've got our barreled action set up in this barrel vise and clamp. What we're fixing to do for our next steps are to heat this up, remove the 3 set screws, and then we're going to take the wrench, put a little light twisting force on the action and get it loose. So we're going to start heating right here. I'm going to time this because I don't know how long it's going to take. But we're going to give you some idea of what it takes for this thing to get hot. These Loctite type adhesives, typically at 400 degrees, that's about where they give up. So once we get it that hot, we'll know that we'll be able to get everything loose. I don't know that it's going to take even that much heat to get the job done. What I'm doing is heating the front of the action right around the area where the barrel's installed in it and right over the 3 set screws. I'm going to heat it until I see a little bit of smoke come out of here from some leftover residual oil or something like that, grease that may be in here to heat, or grease that may be in here, and we'll see a little bit of something roll out of here for smoke, and then we're going to test it out and see if we've got it hot enough at that point. Alright, so I've seen just a little bit of smoke come out of here, and I'm going to turn the torch off and remove the 3 set screws here. Like I said, we've seen some of these actions where these set screws have been torqued in or Loctited in, and some where they have not. Now I'm going to put the wrench on the flats on the side of the action, and I'm going to give it a little twist. If it doesn't want to come loose rather easily, I'm just going to go back and start heating it some more. In this case, it's still tight, so I'm going to get the torch back out. Alright, I'm going to try to act quickly while everything's still hot here. Snugging the wrench up on the receiver flats, and here's what we want. Now, everything's off, and I'm going to set it aside to cool, and we'll be back with you in just a second. Alright, so now here we are. Our action is cooled off. One of the things that we've done is where the barrel's installed, we've cleaned out the Loctite. The Loctite will be like a white residue kind of stuff in there, and so we clean that out. The Prefit barrel, I'll show you this on the shank. We've put a flat right here that the set screws are going to engage. What that does is that makes absolutely sure that when you install it, the extractor groove is in the right place. Now, The pre-fit barrel should slide pretty readily into the action just like this. If it's not, if it's too tight or something like that, contact us, don't force it in. All right, so what I've done, I've put the barrel into place. I'm going to look in the side and rotate the barrel until the extractor is mostly lined up with the extractor slide. So what I'm going to do, now that I've got this thing roughly aligned, I have checked to make sure that the extractor groove is lined up with the extractor on the right side. I'm going to close the bolt, and just for right now, I'm just going to loosely tighten down one of these set screws, just a touch. And all I'm really doing is feeling it bottom out on that flat in there and keep everything lined up. Now I'm going to choose a headspace gauge. I'm using our Whitten Gunworks headspace gauge kit, and I'm using a 43 thousandths headspace gauge because that's the headspace I want to set this thing to. I've installed that in the chamber just like a loaded round, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen the screw and close the bolt, and what we're setting is how deep the barrel is into the action. The barrel will need to slide forward and back a little bit. Okay, so now I've got everything in here. Now what I'm going to do at this step is I'm loosening the set screw a little bit and holding the barrel. Now remember, we've got the extractor in there, and because of the spring in the extractor, it's trying to push the barrel out of the action. So I'm going to apply a little bit of downforce just to make sure that everything is seated in there, and I'm going to snug our set screw down and feel it, bottom out, and make sure that it's rotated correctly so that the set screw is engaged on the flat. All right. Now that I've got the first one done, I'm going to go ahead and snug the other two down, and then we'll do a final tightening. Now, some guys may want to coat the entire shank of the barrel with a Loctite or some kind of sleeve retainer like that when they're doing this step to ensure that the barrel stays in the action and can't get loose. That's fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that plan if you prefer to do that. Obviously, if you do that and want to remove the barrel later, you're probably going to have to heat it. All right, so now I've got the 3 set screws firmed up. I've got my 43 thousandths headspace gauge sandwiched in place right here. I'm going to remove the gauge. And just for my own curiosity, I'm going to stick the next thicker gauge in here, 44 thousandths in. I expect to be able to close the bolt and the handle probably start down, but it'll probably feel a little draggy at the bottom of the stroke right there. And that's it exactly. I can press lightly on this and you can see that it won't close on the 44 thousandths headspace gauge. It did close on the 43 thousandths headspace gauge, so that means I've got the headspace exactly where I want it right here. We appreciate you taking time to watch this video about how we install our Tikka Prefit barrels onto the Tikka actions.